What's up everybody, Tom here with another video. In today's video, we're talking about everything to do with the stock market right now, including our technical analysis levels for the S&P 500, Nasdaq, Bitcoin, gold, dollar index, Tesla, and more. Yesterday was a bit of a bloodbath coming into the back end of the session, and we're now testing critical supports. Are we meant to be concerned about bonds? Let's take a look together. Stay tuned. All right, guys, we always check this heat map and wow, is it red. Take a look at these stocks. Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Tesla down 8% on the day. Nvidia also down 8.22%. Anything that's a hyper growth stock at the moment is not safe. And what's even more interesting is that energy and banks also were coming along for the ride. Let's take a look at the sectors here in the indices first. We've added the Russell 2000 just to show how these back-end stocks are also being hit up at the same time. There are a lot of hyper growth over there. SPX down 2.44, Dow down 1.72, but the Nasdaq and Russell led the charge with a 3.55 and 3.7% down day respectively. We have a look over here, the sectors. Look at these sectors: consumer, discretionary, and tech. These two areas, the most hot sectors over the last 12 months, have again been beaten down, and this is concerns over this inflation idea and bonds and everything else. 10-year notes, we'll take a look at that. But realistically, I'm not actually scared of XLK as in the technology sector. I just think the frothy valuations mean that the pullback was inevitable, and it is healthy in the market for this to happen. While it looks terrifying, it's actually healthy for it to happen. Utilities did lead the defensive charge, though even they were down into the day. But notice everything sold off into the close, and that is the key when you're looking at markets. Now, there's a few reasons why this happened. One of them was Treasury yields rose 1.525%, rose 13 basis points. This is pretty important. Basically, if you see this rising, 10-year notes seem to react poorly with things like the Nasdaq, things like growth stocks in general. We've got inflation concerns and also potentially insufficient Fed action, and maybe they've run out of tools. So I think this is just a standard correction in the market so far, but what it's led to is some very interesting movements in things like the volatility index. The volatility index blew through that 24 level, absolutely smoked it. We hit the 28, and that's where we closed. Previously, if you look over here on the left-hand side, you'll notice on the VIX, this was the zone that found resistance, and if it gets through here, we could be leading up to a 36 plus for the VIX. So Friday is going to be the key. We've probably seen a bit of options expiry now as well, which has led to, I think, a lot of the volatility yesterday, expiring things with closes that were, of course, underneath strikes that have been let out during the February period, that euphoria period, and 28.9 right at the resistance on the close, spiked as high as 31.2. A lot of other things were happening yesterday. Dollar index actually closed, or you would have thought it was going to close, and this is why the close is the key. Here is the dollar index. It broke through that 90 zone. Then by the end of the day, it had fully reversed in a pin bar style hammer rejection, still holding the 90 as a very solid area. This means two things for now. If the market does move down and go back under here, any close, even a close that doesn't get underneath this last zone, is going to be very bearish. If we go to a new movement up above all these wicks, dollar looking bullish again, potentially a move back up to the 91. So as we know, if risk is off in the market, dollar tends to rise, and that seems to be what's going on here. Take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is struggling because of the movement in the stock market. If we go into a correction period, as in we go through this 3,800 area on the S&P 500 tonight, I expect Bitcoin to follow suit. Bitcoin does move with the market. So when the market moves over 3 to 4%, generally Bitcoin will decline in that value as well. So it will actually move along with the market. Here we've got a decline that went to 45. It looks like at the state of this video's recording, we could put pressure on the 45 tonight, depending on where the futures go for the American market. So this point, incredibly important. I'm going to alert myself to 45. When we live stream tonight, we'll probably be watching this zone if it does happen. And unless the stock market can recover, and it does recover off the 3,800 area, I think Bitcoin could be really putting pressure to the downside with a possible larger move back to test the previous highs at around 40,000. So Bitcoin looking a little bit dangerous for now, but at the same time, If you're long, if you've held it before, this is all part of a potential standard pullback structure. We're getting past that 20% though if we get down here. So really around this zone will be 30%, the highest average on the pullbacks for Bitcoin. So be careful on this one, but the price action doesn't look that great. Breaks below this bullish hammer, breaks below this wick, hasn't been closed yet. 45, the real test of the bulls and the bears for now on Bitcoin. Let's take a look at silver. What's going on silver? Well, silver held up relatively well. We take a look at the 4 hour here, you'll notice it is still hovering around that 2780 was broken and closed against. It did it again, didn't make a new high, but it has been holding. And this is in the face of some real adversity. So I do believe truly in silver from the perspective of it is holding well. Found support multiple times on this 27, kind of 25, 30 area. It keeps going up here. It keeps trying to get the squeeze on, but until it breaks these highs, I don't think it's going to be a free for all up to the 29, 90, 30 period. Until it gets up there, it may be a little while. Gold, not looking so good. So gold's copying the full brunt. Weakness was shown. Close underneath this bullish kind of pin bar here. That's leading to the previous supports becoming a zone where gold is trying to hold. We move down our horizontal here, and when we get through this, the significance of this is a daily. Look at this gold decline since the highs back in August of last year. This area here is the last level of support, and we get through here, I could very easily see a 1672, 1680 period for gold, and the weakness to come back into the market. So be very, very careful around this zone. I don't know if it's worthwhile putting the bets in to buy this kind of area. It's been a series of lower highs coming into it. It's just really, really struggling. And look at the moving average it even came off. The 20 moving average on the daily, previous resistance, previous resistances, the whole way down, this has been holding it. So for the bull side, you're going to need to clear that 20 to see any further bullish movement. Clear these highs. I'm not even interested in it until that point. And the main reason why is because you don't get the double bottom action until you clean through there. I like to see double bottoms instead of trying to catch the falling knife. Good luck on gold, but it is at support right now. Now let's get into stocks. What happened yesterday? We've got GME, the short squeeze, hashtag short squeeze, guys. A lot of fun in the stream last night. Hopefully people aren't getting hurt too much in this particular trade. We had that 158 previous resistances being found on the open and then moved down. I think during the stream we had like 5 halts. I'm sure there were more afterwards. 5 halts in the first hour. It was just insane. Movement up was strong. It looks like it's trying to fill that gap. Look, a down day in the markets isn't going to be helpful for GME. So down day happens. It's moving towards that 91 again. Maybe there we do find some support and move back up. We'll watch this in the stream, but GME and AMC are certainly an evolving situation. We go and have a look at hyper growth stocks. We'll go with Tesla for now. 681 into the close. You'll notice that's here. So Tesla's still holding up better than where it did get to during the same point. If we have the Nasdaq at a 12,800 or 830 right now, and we're not at these lows, that means that the ARK purchase really has held sentiment up pretty well for Tesla. And while it moved down 8% on the day, that was nothing compared to the big move that happened a few days before. If we continue to see weakness, it did close under 700. I wouldn't be surprised at all for us to go and retest those lows during this point, but it comes down to the Nasdaq, which is the better indicator for your Tesla trade. If the Nasdaq goes under 12.8, then Tesla expected to fall back into the lows of this 620 area and potentially being met by some buying pressure. As we know, that's where ARK started buying it. It helps retailers, people have a lot of commitment towards that trade. So now into the stock market. Let's have a look at the S&P 500, guys. This movement here was severe yesterday. Big red candle, but straight into the support. The 50 exponential moving average here on the SPX is a key area, as is the 3800. Now we close underneath those zones. I believe we're in correction time. If we don't close underneath this zone on Friday, or we manage to hold up above it, that's good for the bulls. So the bulls and the bears are fighting this area. All things come down to the 3800 zone. Close underneath, 3700 becomes exposed, previous support, and then 3600, the larger correction kind of sizing, which would be natural and healthy for the market to do. So at this stage, trend line, moving down to the 3800. I expect our market, or the market here, to open around 3830 to 3800, depending on what happens today. It may even bounce a little bit, but that area yesterday that we discussed on the stream really became important. Let's go down to the 15-minute here. 3900 came under pressure, closed below. Here's a 15-minute chart, moved down, tested it from the bottom up. Look at this, 3900 became the resistance area, and it was on. Now, we thought it would go 3860, and it went straight through 3860, came back up, tested the 3860, 3870 zone, and then moved down into the close of the day, creating a little bullish hammer here on the 15. So not even a close below the 3830 has been found yet. If it gets through that 50 exponential, I'm a bit worried for the stock market. 3600 is the longer term correction area. We've talked about this. We put fibs on the whole move. It just makes sense. Previous resistances potentially becoming support. We look at something like the Nasdaq. We go have a look at this one. This is also coming under weekly 20 moving average pressure. I could see a spike down through this. 12.8 is what it reached. Previous resistances here at the 12.2 level. Can that be the last point that it hits? I would think that if the S&P gets through that 3800, this is going to force the Nasdaq even lower. So I'm not even sure if these resistances are going to hold. It's a good level, don't get me wrong. 12.4 is a good level, 12.2, but it may not hold, because if the S&P gets through 3800, what's this led by? It's led by Nasdaq stocks, and they've been historically strong. So we could be looking at even an 11,000 if it gets through there. We'll continue to watch the situation through the live streams. We'll continue to watch them through next week. But the close here, anything under the 12.8 triggers at least a 12.4 fairly quickly. And then I hope there's some buying pressure here. But if there isn't, and we go back into this zone, boy, oh boy, could we chunk down to 11,000 or something. That actually could be on the cards for correction. Big red candles, big support being found. Will the market be able to hold it? Was this just another flush of retail ahead of options expiry? We'll start to find out more into the open, but specifically the Friday close key. If you've been enjoying these videos, please remember to subscribe, hit that alert button, come visit us 10:30 p.m. AEST tonight. We'll be streaming live on this channel, and I really want to thank everybody for so much support recently. We're smashing it. It's awesome, and that's thanks to you guys, the community. Bye for now, guys. Catch ya.